The Russell 2000 is an index of small cap stocks. So it's a very good measure of how smaller companies in America are faring. When most Americans hear about the stock market on the news every night, they hear about either the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which encapsulate really the biggest companies in America and are a good gauge of how the market overall is performing. Another way of looking at the market is the Russell 3000 index, which purports to encapsulate 98% of the total US stock market. If you break down the Russell 3000 to the Russell 2000, that takes the smallest 2,000 companies from the Russell 3000. Though they make up 2/3 of the Russell 3000, they're only 10% of the actual value of the index. So the Russell 2000 index is a gauge of the 2,000 smallest companies in the Russell 3000. So really, in plain English, it's a very good benchmark for small cap stocks in general. The average market cap in that index is $1.5 billion, roughly $1.5 billion. The median market cap is only $500 million. If you look at the list of top holdings in the index, it's likely that you've not heard of them. United Rentals, Skechers is maybe a stock people have heard of that is in the Russell 2000. So an investor can own the Russell 2000 index, the whole thing, very easily through an index fund or an ETF, an exchange traded fund. There's a very widely held, very popular one, the Ishares Russell 2000 index. The ticker symbol is IWM. Very liquid, very low cost, gives you broad exposure to the small cap asset class. Most investors would do well to have exposure to small cap stocks. There are studies that show that small cap stocks outperform large cap stocks over time, particularly small cap value stocks. And so really, investors are likely underexposed to that asset class. You hear a lot about the biggest companies. You hear a lot about the Dow and the S&P. It's likely that people own mutual funds or index funds that give exposure to those sorts of companies. But if you want exposure to a different asset class that is potentially faster growing, small cap stocks are a really good place to be. And the Russell 2000 is a good index to either track with an ETF or an index fund, or it's a good benchmark to measure whatever your small cap portfolio is performing. You would want to measure it against how the Russell 2000 is performing.